Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. First of all guys, I post a new series yesterday on this channel. What if Naruto got a new training trip partner that changed everything on this channel? So go ahead and check that out and enjoy guys. I also post a new series over in Anime King as well. What if Naruto was personally trained by Kurama after leaving the village? So go ahead and enjoy that guys. But for today, I'm going to be giving you part 12 of What If Naruto Was an Emotionless Ghost. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying and talking back to all of you. And also stay tuned for the rest of what is coming your way over on Anime King and Anime King 3. And I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. So yeah, without further ado, what is we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, Tsunade explained to Naruto why there was an envoy at his door. Sakura didn't take lightly to what happened, as she put two and two together after all. Naruto was the one that killed Baka, not to mention, he killed Sasuke as well, taking away both of her teammates as she tried to kill him while he was out unconscious. But they were able to stop her, Shizune was, as they sent her to Ibiki not for any torturing session or anything like that, just for her to think what she was about to do, to get her head on straight. Tsunade then sit there and spoke to Naruto for a while, as she told him about the ramen shack, as Naruto remembered going there, a long time ago before the Hokage told him that he had a new trainer. Time passed as Naruto made his way there. He was cautious, as Toki saw him. He was rather strange. But he remembered Naruto from a long time ago, as he brought Naruto the bowl. He was never used to something like this, as he never actually bought anything before, like this, as the meal card was delivered to him. So, it was rather strange and new for him. It was there he met Shikamaru, the one that lost his arm on the mission to go and retrieve Sasuke. Shikamaru seemed rather, well, he wasn't really pissed, but after all the effort they put through, he had to go and kill him. But he didn't seem to mind at all. He just said that it was a drag. But Naruto could see that the man was incredibly smart. Yes, too smart in fact. With that out of the way, Itachi was putting his plan to action as he started to cause chaos in the Akatsuki, even by challenging the leader authority, as Konan tried to stop them and calm them down, and Tobi acting like the fool. But the seeds of doubt has already been sown, as Kisame told Itachi that if the leader, well, did anything against them, he would be the first to go after him. After all, Samihata would love to face off against the legendary Dojutsu. Back at the village, as Naruto made his way to Osama Sartobi, as they end up testing Naruto Affinity. Naruto had a rather rare affinity, it was Yin. He had Yin and Yang for spiritual and body, and Naruto had that rare affinity. And he also had a touch of wind as well. As Osama would have to do some, well, talking with Kurenai to try a way to figure out how Naruto can use that. But he will help Naruto train and practice on how to control his chakra even better, as Naruto wanted to add the force into the bow and arrow, so it will be more powerful, seeing that he felt, well, a lot outpowered when he was faced off against Deidara and the man was using all those powerful explosives. So yeah guys, that was basically that's what I left off. You guys can switch across to the page and check it out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? Naruto watches Osama pull out his weapons, a pair of long trench knife that slipped neat there on his knuckles. Now, I know you have a Byakugan as well, so activate it. To be honest, I'm surprised that you don't use a constant transformation to hide your right eye, instead of that strip of cloth. I prefer to use as less chakra as possible to avoid detection. I also guess that Kurona and Kakashi told you this information, and you reused the information against him. The man looked a bit annoyed, as Naruto realized he was picking up people's facial expressions and picking up their moods. He was getting better at it. You really aren't great at getting on people's good sides, are you? Most of my interaction happened when I shoot people with my bow, said Naruto. Fair point, said Asuma, as he took a deeper drag from a cigarette, as he blew out some smoke. That's satisfying. Anyway, chakra flow. I take it you're used to applying chakra for water walking, tree walking, and various scrolls activation. Naruto nodded. He would be surprised if anyone did have those skills after a short time of being a genin. Good, this is similar, but instead of controlling chakra in a rough way, you need to mold it even more. Observed, said Asuma. And Naruto did. The man concentrated and slit the knives a bit further away from his body. A slight blue haze surrounded the blades, as Naruto could see it with his normal eye. But with his Byakugan eye he could see a lot more. The knife was surrounded by another coating of chakra. It was long and sharp, gently rippling. You channel chakra through the blades and form a blade around them, said Naruto. The man nodded as he retracted the blade. Any idea how? He asked. Could you repeat the technique? Said Naruto. He nodded a smile as he did again. Naruto closed the other eye and focused with his Byakugan eye. The chakra was flowing in ways that he hasn't seen before, like two flowing, contacting rivers. Most of it flowed neatly, yet there was interference. There was some conflict right in the center. As he rotated his view, flat on, you just saw a flow of chakra on the blades. You counteract two flows and use the friction to create sharpness, said Naruto. Pretty much. Said Asuma, you seem far too good at this. I have good observation skills, said Naruto. As Asuma nodded, the thing for you to do now is just try to push chakra into your bolts from your bow. You have an advantage in that because you can see if it's working with your Byakugan. Now for your chakra type, it might work if you try to visualize the effect you want. This seemed like an open exercise without a clear goal, said Naruto, as he felt unsure. Welcome to more advanced technique, kid. There is no manual. Get to it. Naruto touched a wire next to the bow. As he placed the bolt in place, as he focused on the wire, as he channeled his chakra, no matter how long it took, he would master the use of his art, because he had to if he wanted to live. Time skip. Hinata waited nervously in one of the psychiatric ward rooms. It was painted and pale, gentle blues, and the carpet was very soft. There weren't really any sharp corners in the room either. Soft, warm light illuminated the room from smooth lamps. The furniture was soft and spacious as well. All in all, it was as threatening as a newborn puppy. Yet the place felt so odd to her. She crossed the line from nearly retired to take on her highest mission yet. A mission that her father was unable to find disapproval for. Being specially handpicked by the Hokage helped her cause as well. Still, she was unsure what she was supposed to do. Talking to people was fine, but forced talking to people was slightly awkward. She didn't feel comfortable with the concept at all. She looked over her notes once more as she sighed the objectives. They were so direct, not really thinking when compared to a normal human being. Objective 1. Track the psychological progress of the patient. Objective 2. Help patient overcome psychological stress event. Objective 3. Force patient to relive event to help object 2. In particular, any reference towards any seal memories. She looked over the seal memory part a few times, but she couldn't find anything about that in the file. Yet it was there for her to do. She checked the clock. She arrived early, but surely that was expected. The second hand was ticking closer and closer to the hour. Was he going to be late? As the second hand ate vertical, there was a very odd knock at the door. It wasn't exactly loud, nor was it a pattern. It was just a single, quiet knock. It was like it was meant for only her to hear it. She took a breath. Come in, Naruto, she said. As Naruto got in and shut the door rather quickly, she saw that he was a bit on edge as well, so she wasn't the only one. She saw his gaze snap around the room, taking in everything that was there. His face was hard to read with his hood up, but she thought he didn't like the room that much. That said, he settled down on the sofa as he tested out the comfiness. She took a seat in a chair a bit apart from him. That was a good distance, but close enough. Naruto-san. Hinata-san. There was a moment of quiet as Naruto removed his hood. How are you, Naruto? She said. I am alive, and my new training is proving interesting. What is this training? She asked. I am to learn chakra flow, so I can empower my crossbows, bolts, with chakra. As of yet, I'm not sure what effect the chakra will have on the bolts. Hinata smiled. He had something else to focus on rather than just these meetings. As Naruto continued, were we not supposed to be working on my psychology in these sessions? Well, Naruto-san, in truth I'm a bit nervous when it comes to these meetings, and I just want to know how things are going on outside of these meetings. I also held thoughts that they will be uncomfortable, which is foolish, she said. These meetings can't possibly harm me. unless you decide to attack me. Given that we're both calm, I feel it's unlikely. She realized he didn't need subtle treatment to open up. He didn't need careful handling. He just needed a direct approach. She realized why her objective was so strange. It was because it was written by Snatty. What? She... well, described Naruto as direct. How have you been feeling recently? She said. She saw his body shift just a little. It was so fast. She barely caught it. I regret that emotions are something I don't have a full grasp of yet. It vexes me. So I apologize in advance if I'm unable to put in some of the words that I actually felt, he said. Hinata nodded. Do your best to describe it, she said. I have been happy in so much I can understand. With my new training, the sense of purpose made me feel correct. What is the word for that feeling? Contentment? Gratified? He seemed more happier with that. Yes, gratified. I find gratification in my work. I have been feeling ungratified since I was taking off missions. That much she could understood. Anything else? I discovered a new food I enjoy, which made me rather happy. The food was certainly nicer to eat than my usual diet. He needed a smile at a human trait. He had a favorite food. And which food was it, she asked. I believe it's called ramen. She nearly laughed. Nearly. I like ramen as well, but cinnamon rolls are my favorite food. I have kind of a sweet tooth, she said. I like ramen for the range of flavor that it has, said Naruto, and I can try more. I hadn't have cinnamon rolls before. I will bring some to a future session so you can try some, she said. As she saw him relax, she smiled a bit. A memory of finding his broken body in the forest came back to her. How have your dreams been recently, she asked. He went quiet. She knew that he was thinking. He wasn't trying to ignore her, he was just focused on his thinking and completely ignoring everything else around. He was just focusing. He then finally spoke. My dreams have been generally calm. I do not picture much most nights, but when I do, my dreams are peaceful. How do they compare to the dreams that you had on your mission? Which one? He asked. She didn't really know what to call it. She didn't want to voice the mission that took him away from her. She had tried to move on after his death. This one, she said. As he paused. If you have my report, the book version of it, what do you read into my dreams? As she realized he was challenging her. This was probably the most human interaction she had with him so far. Your memorable dreams are of 3 faces, she said. Correct, he said. She will have to dig deeper, as she considered who one of the faces were. Can you tell me anything more about the faces, she asked. She met his gaze with her own. He was definitely not telling her everything. After a few long tense seconds, he finally spoke. There are 3 of them. 2 of them made it hard to sleep, and 1 of them made it easier to sleep. She had to be bold and direct, and she knew that. Was I one of those faces? She asked. There was silence. His single eye blinked for a second. Yes. I memorized your face on the mission to the border when we joined up with Team 10. She remembered that mission. When he stood up for her against Neji, as she was counting him as a friend then. Why? She asked. Your face was a picture I did not understand. And one I still don't understand, he said. I could see in every line of your face, in your eyes and your lips. I could see that you were feeling something far deeper than I could see, and I memorized it. I memorized that you represent something mysterious, but also calm. Something I did not have within myself. She turned away to regain her composure. The report was well written, but she never expected him to have something inside him like that. For him to be thinking that way, he was like a poet in a warrior's shell. Still, he was her patient, someone she had to help. That's very deep. Now, your report finished inside the base, but your mission did not conclude until you returned to Konoha. He suddenly went completely quiet. After at least 10 seconds he spoke. I simply passed out. From a feedback from a shadow clone. She could tell that he was lying. He looked like he was physically hurt by it, twisting a bit in his chair. She knew she had to continue to get the truth. What really happened, she said. I don't know. I have sealed away the memories and run from the pain, he said. How? She asked. He stood up. He staggered a bit. She reached out to catch him, but he steadied himself. As he lifted up his shirt, at first she saw his stomach, which looked so much more healthy than before. Then she saw the huge mass of seals that covered the flesh. His finger was touching a small part of a larger seal, the memory-eating seal. It worked by sealing a part of the soul that carried the memory. She found herself shivering, like the temperature in the room had suddenly dropped. She kept her distance. He saw her shivering a bit. Are you cold? Or are you scared? Scared, she said. He gave her a long, direct look in her eye. I understand, he said. He looked at the clock. He then pulled the hood over his head and left the room. She unfroze as she looked at the clock. Exactly 1 hour had passed. She sighed. She started to make notes on what happened. He revealed the source of a major problem, and it frightened her quite badly. Did her Hokage expect her to break that seal and unleash the memory? If it was so horrible for him to seal away him of all person, that would be terrible to do to another human being, especially a friend. Friend, she thought. Yes, a friend. Time skip. The Akatsuki base was rather quiet. The great cavern structure was hidden under the city of the hidden rain, where the pipes and drainage went. There was more than enough space for Akatsuki member to sit and be alone, and destroy things if they were angry and drained. Itachi sat in his own personal cavern as he stretched out his mind. He was glad for the downtime in some ways. His illness would not advance if he rested some more, and that gave him more time to think and prepare. How do you kill the zombie brothers? Itachi had evaluated a weakness for all of his Akatsuki comrades. Hidan, he would simply need to immobilize. The man's skills were certainly unique, but once you knew what to work with and work about, you could neutralize him with ease. While he was sure the man had other jutsus to fall back on, he was sure that it was a long time since he used them, and he would be, well, rather sloppy. But that was assuming that Kakasu just sit back and laugh. Well, given their interaction with each other, Itachi knew that probably would be something Kakasu do, but he wouldn't chance anything at all, especially if he was the one doing anything. He would need to separate them first. With Hidan isolated, he could be picked apart with little to no difficulty. In the most literal sense, Kakasu on the other hand was a much more interesting challenge. He had to be killed 5 times before he stayed dead, unless you got him to overextend himself and release the hearts from his body independently. He always wondered why Kakasu does such a thing. It was a rather arrogance that he should have, thinking that he was untouchable because he had those masked creatures. But Itachi was proficient in something like that. He would take out the hearts as they separated, either trapping them or using powerful attacks to take them down. With the hearts wasted, Kakasu was as powerful as a normal shinobi. He could be outmatched. Kakasu was powerful, but he was better. Of course, this was without using his eyes to their full potential, so he didn't burn them away. That would be wasteful. The question how to integrate this strategy of his with Konoha movements. When Zetsu returned with information, the zombie brothers would be dispatched. He would have to find a way to betray them, without Zetsu noticing it. As he thought about the possibility of killing Zetsu as well, the man was unknown though. He was almost entirely the pawn of pain, at least apparently so. Well, he suspected that someone else pulled his strings. His thoughts were interrupted as he heard footsteps entering his ear. They weren't heavy enough to be Kisame's or Kakasu's. They were light, soft. It was either Konan or someone else. Itachi Senpai-kan. The voice was so childish and calm. It sounded rather smug. The voice of the one person he was, well, curious about finding out. You. Yes. Tobi's here to visit you, said Tobi. The masked man strolled into Itachi's chamber. Why so gloomy, Itachi-kan? Surely Tobi can make you happy. Drop the Tobi act. I knew you better than that, said Itachi. Something about the man's entire demeanor changed, muscles shifting under the Akatsuki robe. As he stood up in a full form, rather than slouching a bit. You're rather stubborn, you know that, Itachi. You were the knight who did our dirtiest deed, and you still are. And you remain as unknown as ever. I can see your eye though. They tell me much. The man stood still and stared at Itachi. As Itachi looked right into the eye hole, he could see the Sharingan in the eye hole. They tell me that you're either Uchiha, or that you stole the eyes of them. They tell me that there's far more about you that I want to know. A dark laughter could be heard come from behind the mask, and yours are telling me that your sight is deteriorating. How long do you have, Itachi? What is your purpose and goal, said Itachi. The man gave a coughing laugh. So direct. Well, since you want me to be honest, I suppose I can answer. One question of yours for each of mine you truthfully answer. For each you refuse, I can refuse as well. Very well, Itachi said. The two of them started to pace around, like they were planets orbiting an invisible star. Who is the Jinjulki of the Nine Tails? Who are you, Itachi said. Very good. Given that we have our own little mystery hidden away, we can get to the actual questions now. As the both of them slowly paced around each other. What do you plan to do now? Know that your brother is dead. I intend to find and kill the person that killed him and prevent pain from getting the tail beast. The masked man released a long whistle. Rather bold words. You would betray your entire organization for your own goals. You would die for them. Respectable, but foolish. What's your end game? I will unite the tail beast and become its Jinjulike, and cast an infinite Tsukuyomi on the moon, and bring eternal peace for all the people forever. That surprised Itachi. An interesting goal, yet I wonder, can your eyes cast such a genjutsu? I'm sure you are aware of the nature of the Mangekyo Sharingan. The man's posture became a little more aggressive. That seemed to piss him off what Itachi said. It's an obstacle I wish to overcome, but certain assets have been lost on the road. Assets like Orochimaru, Kabuto, and my little brother, Itachi said. Assets, I mean. Like your knowledge of the tail beast. I know you were in there when the attack happened. Don't act like you know nothing about the Nine Tails. You mean the day you attacked? Yes, I remember it. You caused more harm than I thought possible. You took the Hokage and many good friends away from us. The man shrugged a little. They stood in the way of my plan, and they paid the price for it. I have no regrets overall, but I sense that you do. Mostly, Itachi said, but I don't know more about you. As the both of them continued to circle each other, each of them looking each other in the eye. I have something to offer you then, Itachi. Really? Yes, an alliance of sort. You no longer wish for pain to succeed, and neither do I. You need to start killing people in the alliance off for your goals. And I need them to die as well. Itachi tilted his head sideways a bit. How do you propose for this to work then? Well, would it surprise you for me to say that Zetsu is a clear ally of mine, and not a simple pet of pain? Well, that would be interesting. So what kind of control do you have over your pet, said Itachi. My pet, the man said. Zetsu, Itachi said. Here to tell me what he actually is? No. But let us say if I ask him to remain silent, he will do so. And how long would such an agreement on our part last, Itachi asked. As long as it need to, until our paths become less compatible. The both of them stopped and looked one another in the eyes. There was no deceit in the man's words or body language, but it was hard to tell with him. Yet he felt he could trust this man in this, situation. But he would just have to betray him before he betrayed him. That should be simple enough. He extended a hand, as the man laughed a bit. Please, honor amongst us. The man then turned his back. His body language and his entire quality does shift once again. Toby is pleased to work with Itachi Senpai. He will use the train that he has been given. As he walked away waving his hands, the act was so over the top, so ridiculous, that no one would question it. That much Itachi had to concede. It seems like his plan had become a lot simpler. Time skip. A few weeks later, Asuma wondered how did he manage to convince himself to be a part of Naruto new skill test. It wasn't all bad. He managed to get Team 8 to tag along as well. At least Kurna managed to convince them. Hinata and Shino had been a little keen to help, but Kiba had been cautious, and there was need of a slight bravery. So the four of them now stood facing Naruto with his crossbow out and loaded. As he pointed at their general direction, he had supervised Naruto train and knew that the boy was skilled at what he did. Each session he came in and worked on his craft, and Sharikun's help. He just made 2 at a time though. Now he was ready to properly field test his techniques. Although, why Hinata got to stand at his side, along with Kurenai and Shino, and Kiba and him had to stand right in the line of fire vexed him a bit. Kurenai told him to be a man, so he had no choice in the matter, as Naruto was doing a final inspection, and it wasn't helping for their nerves, as Kiba was rubbing his shoulder. You don't want to be shot by that thing, it hurts. Kiba, I'm sure Naruto-san will not aim to kill us. I'm sure his level of aim has increased, so it will not lead to any harm. Well, I would rather have a full medical team here just in case. You know, he hasn't tried to kill you yet, Shino. Only because I've remained on what I've called his good side. Asuma gave Kiba a look to say shut up. Then he lit a cigarette as he took a long drag, as Naruto slowly lowered a boat and raised the mechanism to his shoulder. Alright, said Kurenai. Naruto is going to test his new technique. He is going to hit the wooden post that you are standing around to represent the target and not hit the comrade. Don't move, she said. Wait, then why do we fire Naruto when you're ready, said Kurenai, cutting Kiba off. Kiba blinked as the world felt different. His heart was beating so fast, it was like a drum in his ear. His vision started to swim as he started to lose balance. He dropped to the floor. The sound of him falling down sounded like a building collapse. His breathing sounded like a hurricane and it started to give him a headache. Then he felt a hand press on his back and the noise stopped. He rose to his feet and scowled at Naruto. That was unpleasant. What kind of genjutsu was that? Asuma smiled. Naruto never used hand signs for that. He simply charged a bolt with chakra to cast the illusion without hand signs. That is his new set of techniques, Kiba. This could be a long afternoon for us. Shino nodded Asuma's assessment. It was fortunate that he paid more attention to when Kurna was teaching them. But the sudden genjutsu was, well, unpleasant. Quiet. Kurna turned to Hinata. What do you see when he fires? There was chakra pushed in a bolt just before he fired, and it spread about 5 feet. Kurna was rather impressed. Era effect genjutsu. To mess with the entire surroundings require more chakra and more control. To tie down multiple opponents for easier shooting, and Naruto did it so quickly. Kurna saw Naruto checking his crossbow. Everything alright, Naruto, she said. Yes, the technique is working, but I think it changed the bolt somehow. That was inaccurate. Really? As he fired, it pounded right into the post as Asuma blinked. You know, some warning would be nice. Apologies, I have just finished testing the genjutsu bolt. Kiba wiped his forehead. Even Shino looked a bit unhappy about this new development. As Naruto loaded that 5th bolt and took aim at a boulder nearby. As he fired, the bolt chipped off a section of the rock. Then he loaded and he fired again. There was no sound at all as the bolt stuck right into the rock. The noise was suppressed. Asuma walked over as he pulled the bolt out of the stone. Not bad, you could have achieved better wind chakra though. I could have sent the bolt through the boulder. Naruto retrieved it. That would not be the purpose. Did you hear anything when the bolt was fired? No, said Asuma. Well, I suppose that is very useful for you, isn't it? Naruto nodded as Asuma smiled. Well, I taught you as much as I can in this era, and that makes me an awesome teacher because it took only 4 weeks. Now then, your other skills need work. Naruto realized he over-focused a bit, although he didn't really enjoy his other skills so much. Let's work on your taijutsu, Asuma said. Spar with Kiba, practically leap forward. It seems like Kiba is ready. Alright, taijutsu only, no weapons. Even as he understood that the point of the exercise was to improve his taijutsu, he felt like it was unfair. Kiba was a specialist in the art. As he shed his cloak, as Kiba moved opposite of him, stretching his arms, they both knew how this would end then. Naruto took up his stance as he waited for Kiba to move. The instinct to reach for his wrist knife, or kunai, was strong. His hand itched for a weapon because he knew that he would need one. Kiba circled him as Naruto turned slowly. Make sure to always be facing him. He remembered how his spar with Neji went and how he won that. But he didn't have any of those weapons now with him. As Kiba leaped forward, as Naruto rolled to the side, Kiba then spin around. I yield. Wait, what? Kiba looked confused as Naruto crossed his arms. Asuma sighed. That's not the point, Naruto. I want to see what your style of fighting was. Oh, it is defensive. And usually I don't engage in taijutsu unless it is with a clone. Even then I use it to wear down opponents instead of defeating them. I also prefer to use weapons while engaging. Asuma put his head into his palm as he sighed. As Kurna laughed a little, as she stepped forward along with Shino. As Shino spoke, Naruto taijutsu is primary weaponry based on sudden strike attacks and unexpected turns. Direct intervention is not something that suits him well, said Shino. Asuma nodded. You could try enhancing your blades with chakra as well, although that will be harder to keep up in a fight. Less than single crossbow shots. I am still kind of worried, what if you enter a fight with someone fast enough or strong enough to go through your attacks and take you on directly? Then I simply not get seen or reveal myself to them, said Naruto. If they do find you're not ready, what do you have as a backup plan? Naruto considered. Shadow clones, yes. And his other hidden talents are fleeing. Yes. He used to be resigned to just, well, simply die. But with the Akatsuki, he couldn't allow them to really take him. If I encounter a situation like that, I survive until backup arrive. Kiba grinned as Hinata smiled a bit as he remembered coming to his aid against later on. Shino seemed less enthusiastic about his idea. I recall you were heavily injured in a short time. As Naruto recalled, Shizune telling him to never do that again. It worked. Once a risk is doing it once. Performing it twice is carelessness. And performing it 3 times is foolishness. What if no one had arrived? I did know Uncle Chan was going to arrive, said Naruto. Regardless, if she was intercepted, you would have died. That was probably true, he thought. I just don't think that the skill increase I would gain from taijutsu would lead to a meaningful increase in the mission's successful rate. Shino nodded. While true, it also put you at risk at dying going on a mission where a foe can perform high tuning level like Kiba when it comes to taijutsu. What? I am at least Jonin level, said Kiba. Kunai chuckled, a laughter that Naruto found rather pleasant. You would be a Jonin if any of your other skills were that high too, Chunin Inuzaka. His shoulders sagged as Kiba muttered something under his breath. Kunai merely raised a single eyebrow to get him back in line. So Naruto, what weapons do you use defensively? Asked Asuma. Usually my Tonto kunai. Sometimes my acid mist if I had time to prepare it. So, straight blade weapons. Naruto nodded, as his mind thought about the possibilities. Are you implying that another type of weapon might suit my defensive capability? Yes, if your style is defensive, then an entangling weapon might suit you better, said Asuma. Shino nodded, indeed. My clan has occasionally used a weapon known as the Kazeragama. It has fallen out of greater use since greater integration with our hives, but all are given basic instructions. I would welcome you into our clan if you wish to learn more about it. Naruto could see the slight nervousness on everyone else's face as he took in their appearance before turning back to Shino. Is there some reason why I might not enter the Aberame compound? Shino shrunk back a bit. Hinata seemed surprised by something, but she was somewhere between smiling and looking away. That is perceptive of you, Naruto. You can see our uneasy, even if we shouldn't be carrying it. You see, Shino clan is very secretive, and much of Konoha is very scared by his clan. I have no such fear, said Naruto. When may I take up your offer, Shino-san? Shino raised his head enough to see a slight smile on his face. I will consult with my father, and then I'll get back to you. We will be honored to have you on for a meal before we can further discuss our options. Naruto nodded. That wasn't as hard as he was expecting. Something about Shino's straightforward approach was just better for him. Well, said Asuma, that seemed to have sorted itself out nicely. I'm not an advanced instructor in weapons, but I think I can find someone to help you with when you need to. Thanks, Asuma-sensei. The man smiled. Well, we're about done for the day, unless you want to join Team 8 for their normal training. Naruto was about to leave when something held him back. He was so used to training alone, and being alone all the time. Yet he didn't feel like he wanted to be alone now. He felt content around Team 8. He realized he was standing in mid-step and everyone was watching him. He felt like running away, but that felt like a bad idea. As Kunai stepped forward, "You're more than welcome to train with us, Naruto," she said. I would like that, he said. She smiled. Right then. Let's get going, she said. Asuma looked over his shoulder as Naruto began the warm-up exercise with Team 8. The boy was different. Certainly dedicated to the job, and dedicated to his craft to an obsessive degree. Well, the best shinobis tended to be that dedicated. It was kind of too late for him to be normal, but not too late for him to be normal enough though. He lit another cigarette as he walked back to town. Snazzy was probably gonna like this, he thought to himself. Time skip. Naruto and Shino walked through the town, two hooded figures being completely ignored by everyone else. As, well, they walked silently and walked in a steady pace. Naruto has never been to this part of Konoha before. He avoided the Aberame rooftops when he could. They had a rather strong detection force with their bugs. Now he was being invited in there freely. To give it one word, it was certainly odd. Shino opened the door like any other and held it open for Naruto. The hallway it leading into was normal and warmly lit. Dark wood dominating the furniture and the decor. A sign of strength but yet comforting as well. Another figure wearing sunglasses with a high collar greeted Naruto as well. Hello, I'm Shibe Aberame. Welcome to our home. Naruto replied as best as he could. Thank you for the invitation. I feel happy to be here. I'm not sure what is the word I feel, actually, said Naruto. Describe it to me. I feel like I'm doing something that not many others are invited to do, and that makes me feel happy. Shibe nodded. You feel pride in our invitation. You're most welcome, Naruto. Shino has mentioned you in our discussions. He praises your skills. Shino did not react at all to that, he just stood there. The admiration of skills is mutual, said Naruto. Shino is one of the few shinobis I have encountered, which I feel a kinship in terms of operating method. Come, the man said. Allow me to show you the armory. As he walked down the hallway, as Naruto and Shino followed behind him, as they descended down a long wooden stairs that lead down, straight down. As Naruto noticed the walls, they were all wood, no metal, stone or concrete. He turned on his Byakugan and nearly stopped moving, There was life moving through the entire house. Insect life moved through everything. It was beautiful. Shino saw his wonderment. I see you have discovered the hidden secret of our compound. It is Beautiful, said Naruto. The entire house is a hive for insect life. A symbiosis. It's shared with nature. Shino nodded as his father took over. It is. As Anara tend to their deer, we share a deep bond with insects and similar form of life. You will never find a spider web in our house. They prey upon insects. The insects know that this is our hive as well as theirs, and they keep the temperature strong enough to hold up the house. If they made their home too large, it would destroy both of our homes. Instead, we have homes inside of our homes. One thing I do not understand, said Naruto, is the presence of concrete wall on the outside. Konoha in general does not understand our clan. Well, they made little to try to understand. If we throw the fine woods of our houses, chosen for durability, and different insects, it would draw attention. And that's a no. The less attention we garner, the happier we are. It's why we cover our face and our eyes, a reminder of our service, and a part of our greater whole. Only between the most intimate couples is direct eye contact common. Not because it's forbidden, but because it's special that pairing. We serve a greater hive by keeping bonds strong between ourselves. Naruto nodded. They were a part of the machine in Konoha that worked in the dark without complaint. As Naruto noticed, the staircase was quite long, but it did not turn, so it just descended down towards the center of the house. All the clan houses are connected beneath. He acts. Very perceptive. We are a hive, and so is our compound. In the space below we learn and train, sharing our knowledge, and meeting with the others of our clan. It's a place of debate and sanctuary, and learning and communication. It is our refuge. Should anyone invade the compound, we would fight them here in the tunnels. We would extract severe payment for their gain. As Naruto felt his kinship grew a bit. This place was like the root compound but different. For communication and mutual friendship, opposite of the root idea. The walls gently curved, like they were naturally carved, not the square concrete of root. The tunnel staircase widened in a large hall. There were a few dozen Aberme members down below. As Naruto saw a great cloud of insects flying above them all, some of the clan members turned towards him, knowing that he was not part of the clan. Shibi nodded to them. Some of them nodded to Naruto and turned away. Naruto realized he never felt like an outsider more than this time before, but it didn't feel weird. They entered another sub-passage and into another room. Shibi approached a weapon rack and pulled one into his hand. As he swung the chain gently, as it had sickle blades at the end of it, as they whipped through the air, he eventually stopped it and inspected each weapon. Tip: Naruto, I would like you to take this weapon as a token of our friendship from our clan to you. I will request to see your face if you will accept the hypocrisy of this request. As Naruto removed his hood, Naruto was sure that the man was smiling from the visible parts of his face that he could see. Indeed, I suspect there are multiple reasons for me to offer you this gift of friendship. You remind me of an old comrade who was like you. Naruto considered the man's words. Was this comrade Minato Mikaze? Shino whipped his head around to look at Naruto, as Shibi chuckled. Father, may I interject, said Shino. Of course, Shino. I take it you came to a conclusion. Minato Mikaze was a Portokage slave on the night of the Kyuubi attack. Your words imply that Naruto is somehow related to him. However, I was never aware that he had any relatives of any children at note. Also, Naruto's age would imply that he was born close to the night of the attack. Shibi nodded. Naruto, I will leave it up to you to confirm any of this. But know that the bond one offers with this weapon is stronger than steel, or the passage of day and night. Our hive will not yield their secrets without your permission. Naruto turned towards Shino. Shino, I am indeed the son of Minato Mikaze, but I do not follow in his footsteps. He was meant to be in the light, while I am a ghost in the dark. Shino nodded in agreement. Yet you are a leader, Naruto-san. Yet your aversion to the light means you can't be a Hokage. You are a mystery in that way. Yet I feel you hold a deeper secret. Yes, you're correct. I'm the Jinchuriki of a nine-tailed fox. It is locked deep within me, where it can do no harm. Shino seemed troubled by that, until his father placed hand on his back, as he straightened up by that. Do not be disheartened, my son. Naruto performed a great task without complaint, and he should not feel any lesser. Be inspired. Hold him as an ideal of service and duty. I shall, Shishino. As the man held out the weapon to Naruto, as well as a band. As Naruto took it and fastened it around his chest, where his Tonto was around his back, he nodded to Shibi, who returned the nod. If you wish for training, I would recommend my guy or Kakashi as a fine user of this weapon. Our clan cannot offer you the training, our techniques are secret and must remain in the clan. For that, I apologize. It is understandable. Thank you for the weapon and offer a bond of friendship. Shibi nodded at him. I invite you to eat with us if you desire. Naruto paused. It was like when he was invited to train with Team 8. He could have trained by himself, but the kinship would then made him want to train with them. And now he could eat at home, but the kinship with the clan made him want to say yes. I would like to accept your offer. Excellent. Come, let us eat. As they ascended back to the house, as Naruto remained silent, he was too busy watching the insects moving through the walls, the green chakra flowing. Meanwhile, Danzo sitting in his throne, as he surveyed the small gathering. They were his elite, for lack of a better word, his lieutenants. Yet they were not. They were not the successor he wished for. That successor was undergoing additional training, and he was not yet ready. These were his elite though, strong enough to face another foe, and become quite creative on the battlefield. They were the ones that he sent on mission for months, and expect to come back victorious. The ones he could rely upon. They also acted as his counsel in times of need, and for special missions. Root was not in a good position as he stood. He lost 5 teams in the battle. 5. Nearly a fifth of his strength. 15 Jonin 11 ninja had fallen. Their mission was a success, but not in the way that he planned or envisioned. Itachi Uchiha, the man was a thorn in his side that he could not remove. A rogue piece in his otherwise perfect game. The Akatsuki all were, but Itachi was the one that Danzo feared. Nothing scared him except the man with more knowledge and secret. Knowledge and secret that hears and condemn, but turn a blind eye. In terms of punishment, secrets that would have Tsunade throw him in prison, or likely worse. Itachi could bring him and Root down, and that meant the man had to die, or Tsunade had to. Konoha was not prepared for the Akatsuki. Jiraiya was too often absent, and the Hokage was not the strongest warrior, despite her victory over the puppeteer. No, there were big, greater dangers out there. They were a man that could slaughter his platoon with ease if they attacked. They had to be strong. They had to create plans that no one else would even think of, or even think to create. We planned to overthrow the Hokage. His assembled group nodded. They were not shocked. They were trained not to be shocked. They were trained to be minds able to accept and deal with anything. Emotions were not involved. I gave you all this brief and asked you to meditate on it. Tell me your thoughts, he said. One of the figures rose. I conceal a plan. It involved isolating the Hokage from our guards and destroying her there. Danzo nodded. We sneak diplomatic message to her from Land of Earth. They will call for negotiation and diplomacy. The fence sitter himself will be there. Danzo raised a hand for the man to be silent. What of the daimyo? How are you going to keep him from involving? We stage a number of attacks near their castles. This will draw elite shinobi away from Konoha and also keep the daimyos in their walls. I reject this plan, Danzo said. It involves collateral damage, but it will also draw a home figure like Jiraiya here. The man sat as the second one rose. I have conceived a plan. The leadership of the Hokage is a key to their acceptance. I propose to undermine that leadership and force her to stand down. Danzo nodded. It was this kind of thinking he loved to see. The confidence of daimyo is key. So I propose we kill the current daimyo. While he's a modern and suggestible man, his successor will be young and naive. Far more easy to manipulate. Danzo raised his hand. That will show us as extremely weak. To let our daimyo die to other forces. Who would dare own up such an attack? Something like that would be suicidal for any nation, no matter how strong. The lack of trust between us will be a decrease in our power. But continue, said Danzo. With the daimyo slay, we convince his successor to remove Tsunade from the political power. An ultimatum of refusing missions until she leave her seat of power. Danzo considered. I reject this plan also, he said. Such a move will lead to another removal of the daimyo, and for it to show its weakness, it invite attacks from other nations. The man kneeled once again, as the third one stood up. I considered the problem deeply, but I could not come to a conclusion that makes sense of the problem. That is unfortunate. Surely you must have had some conclusions to draw from the analysis, said Danzo. None that did not end in excess damage and death. Only a fast-acting toxin can remove her safely enough. Your input is welcome but lacking. I expect more. I will serve more fruitful in the future, my lord, the man said. Danzo nodded. It was not the worst outcome. At least the man came to a conclusion. The fourth one was a while longer before he stood up. My lord, in the view of the others, I have more questions. Name them. What level of damage allowed to occur? A level 3 event. The man nodded. Then I have conceived an answer. An answer? The man nodded once again. My lord, all actions we could take would naturally lead us to attack our own. So we have to turn our attention inwards and forget the outwards. Tell me, where does this lead your answers to Danzo? We require the threat to come from outside. There must be a force that attack and remove the Hokage from power. Anything else will be a lesser result. What threat are you implying? Akatsuki. If it is from a other nation, it would lead to an imbalance and cosmic destruction of the peace that we find ourselves in at the moment. The Akatsuki must come for the Nine Tails. Danzo nodded. I came to the same conclusion myself. You have all done well this day, and you're dismissed. The figures rose and left, leaving Danzo all alone. It had come to this moment a leader that would not understand him, and a title that he had to force to take. He couldn't allow that woman to stay in power for too longer. As he knew that he needed to reach out and contact his chosen, he smiled to himself, his chosen. There was many options for his replacement, but he knew that he had to train a successor from birth. He narrowed it down to two options. By the time the candidates were able to hold kunais, both of them skilled, both of them with a past that could inspire, yet only one was going to truly become his successor. If that failed, there was backup plans, but it will never be as perfect as number one. He got up from his throne and walked towards the exit. He will need to advise the Hokage and talk to his lost son. He would be quiet. He would be secretive. He was about to leave when one of his minions came in the room. Speak. My lord, the Three Tails has begun to reform in a lake close to Kiri. You're dismissed, said Danzo. He pondered this. While it was known that since Yagura fall, the three-tailed beast would return, he did not know when. Such an event should be known in Konoha by now, and by Akatsuki as well. He could not risk mobilizing now, there was more at stake. He turned back into the darkness and strode onwards. But guys, if you end subscribe right here, if you want the next part of this to do, like, subscribe, comment down below and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in social media platform. And also stay tuned for the rest of the what is coming your way. And I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. But for now, I'm out guys, see you guys soon. Peace.